Kingdom family, kingdom family, kingdom family, what's up? Here we are together again on our 58th week of the kingdom, growing strong. And I'm so grateful and so thankful to have all of you here. We are in for a very special session today. I have a special guest who I've been looking forward to having on the kingdom for quite some time now. And before we continue on, I just want to make sure you all can hear me okay, you all can see me okay. Just let me know in the chat box that everything is working fine for you. And I am so excited for the journey that we're going to head on together today. And so as we begin every single one of our kingdom sessions, we anchor into our belief statements here. And we believe here at the kingdom that all beliefs are welcome here, all biologies are welcome here. We believe in the power of music to open our hearts and our minds. And we believe here at the kingdom that wisdom can come from many places. We know that there is an expanded definition of ourselves, meaning that we don't just honor or tolerate each other's differences, but we know that we're stronger because of those differences, and ultimately that we rise together. And so as we continue this session, we always begin with a poem of some sort, or music or song, and then prayer, which all guide us through a short prayer. And then we'll go into a personal prayer. And our personal prayer is a moment for each of us to be able to anchor in to our power and tap into a prayer that works for us. And then we'll go into our teaching, our practice, a golden nugget, and an action to take us forward. Now, before I continue, because I see some of you have different opinions. Oops, hold on a second here. Okay, so some of you have different things happening, and I just want to make sure that we're not freezing too much. Some of you said that it keeps freezing. So I want to get some clarity. Is it freezing for everybody, or is it clear for some of you and freezing for some of you? Because that's the only way I know if it's on my end or on your end. So if you're able to see and hear me totally clearly, can you just say that for me in the chat box so that I know everything is okay? I'm out here in the woods right now, literally in the woods at a cabin. And so sometimes the internet goes in and out, but it's hard for me to know whether it's me or you. So as we dive in, okay, good. All of you refreshed your screen and the freezing stopped. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So we're in really good shape. So as we dive into our session today, I wanted to read, one of the poems that I started the kingdom with, that I know many of you have heard over and over. And if this is your first time at the kingdom live, I want you to type in the words "first time" in the chat box. And if you type in the words "first time" in the chat box, you'll see our entire community will welcome you here. Hello, Lindsay and Emily and Khalifa and Ashley and Sabine and Marianne, and thank you everybody, Cindy, Devin, Elka, everybody, Kalani, everybody's here. Hi, Mom. Okay, and so as we jump in, and if you're new, just type in the words "first time." And if you're not new, remember that one of the things that we do here at the Kingdom is if it's somebody's first time, we welcome them with open arms. And also, as I'm talking and as our special guest is talking, it's a great opportunity to put your hands up in the chat box, or put the number 1 a whole bunch of times in the chat box, which is kind of us saying like, yes, amen. If you just put the number 1 a whole bunch of times and repeat it over and over. And finally, we anchor into this community. We anchor in fully to the power of this community, this web of connection from all over the world. And so again, I thank you and I honor you and welcome Ashley for your first time at the kingdom. And so this poem that I wrote is something that came to being right as the kingdom was being born. And it helped me understand, actually, this poem was written before I even fully knew what the kingdom was going to be, before I even knew fully what it was going to be. And it helped me get the ethos of what it is that we decided to do together here for the last 58 weeks. And so it says, "This is for everyone. lesbian, gay, trans, bi, young, old, black, white, queer, hippie, broke, and fabulous. All are welcome to the magic that happens. This is not about telling you what to believe, but to connect you to something greater, to bring some relief to the struggles and pain that carry us forward. You can't stop us because we are the warriors. We'll come together, we'll sing and we'll cry, we'll learn and we'll share as we all turn the tides. You'll learn wisdom teachings from the world's greatest lessons and connect to your power and call in your blessings. This isn't about inspiration, this is about action, because only then can we break from this faction. Welcome to the kingdom inside. We rise together, and together we rise. We rise together, and together we rise. And so it's really interesting because when I was first starting the kingdom, I remember a few people had said to me, and there were people right in the beginning who said, why does it have to be the kingdom? Why does it have to be masculine or feminine and this? Why isn't it something else? And it's really interesting because I said, well, this is about the kingdom inside. You know, this isn't about it being Justin's kingdom, right? Or if you want it to be that, sure, I could be the king, right? And then if I'm the king, then it is a kingdom. But that's not the intention. This is about waking up the sovereignty, the royalty inside of you beyond gender, right? In any way, shape, or form. And so if you choose to call it the queendom, if you choose to call it the whatever it is, we here together are the kingdom family, and we rise together in every single way. And we all have the masculine and the feminine inside of us, right? And it's about honoring that power as it wakes up in all of us together. And so kingdom family, I love you. Let us now dive into the power of our prayer. Hands, oop, you can't see me. Hold on a second. Why? All right. Give me just a second, family. For some reason, my screen isn't showing. Da, 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 da. Okay. It's being weird. Well, I'll just come back this way then. So hands over your heart and take a full deep breath in and a deep breath out. God, Spirit, universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing this community together. Thank you for bringing us connection from all over the world, from here in the woods, all the way across the world to our family joining us in Australia and beyond. Thank you for this web of connection that allows us to come together. Thank you for the miracle that is this connection that allows us to come together. May we realize how blessed and lucky and grateful we can be that we can be connected in this way. Even in times of loneliness, this family and this kingdom is always here if we just feel it and reach out, and we thank you for bringing this together. Thank you for our special guest. Thank you for our lives. Thank you for our light. Thank you for our shadow. And thank you for making this kingdom session right under this beautiful full moon that is happening today, giving us the power to remember what it is that we want to release and let go of in our lives. Thank you for the mystery and the miracles. This is your moment now to welcome in your personal prayer. Set your intentions, set it strong. God, Spirit, universe, all that is, all that ever has been and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing us together. May each of us hear exactly the message that we need to hear today. May our voices, words, and ears, and listening and inner listening be guided towards our greatest sovereignty. In your name. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Shalom, Satnam, Awen, Om. Thank you. So here we are. Here we are, Kingdom family. Here we are. And here is the power of us coming together in such an incredible way. I love you all so much. And I'm so grateful that each of you are here now in this time. And so as we dive into today's session, I'm going to put up my slides, but for some reason my video isn't popping up, so y'all will have to excuse me. Let me see 1 second. So, let's see if I can get it to come on now. Oh. All right, well, if it doesn't work, you all will have to forgive me. Let's see now. How weird. That has never happened before. Okay, well, I'm going to just talk here and show the slides for a second, so I'll put them in the middle so you all can see them clearly. And I promise I'll come back on the screen in a moment. So I'm very excited about today's session because today's session I am bringing a session forward called The Power of Equanimity. The Power of Equanimity, with somebody who I've been so excited to bring onto the kingdom, who I've known for many years now. And I want to introduce you all to Sharon Brock. Sharon Brock is, first of all, an incredible and dear friend who is a leader whose story will completely blow you away. And Sharon Brock is a mindfulness teacher that has been trained at UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center. She's also been trained at UCSD's Center for Mindful Self-Compassion. And she is launching her first book, and you are all going to get the opportunity to be some of the first people to get her book today. Her book is called The Love Method. The Love Method. I'm going to show this on the screen right now. Love with 2 E's, The Love Method. 5 mindfulness practices for the journey of breast cancer. And Sharon overcame breast cancer in 2019, and she used mindfulness to keep her emotions clear even during her treatments. And although her book recounts her personal story about breast cancer and everything that she went through, the mindfulness practices and the wisdom, the real wisdom that she learned along the way is truly relevant and super inspiring to each and every one of us. Whether you are going through cancer, know somebody who's gone through cancer or not, this will inspire each of us, which is why I've been so excited, genuinely so excited to have Sharon here with us on the Kingdom. And so it is with great joy that Kingdom family, I welcome Sharon here to the screen. So Sharon, just unmute yourself and you'll be golden. I got you actually. There we go. Oh, hold on, I just muted you now. All right, here we go. Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. And so
Aloha from Maui.
aloha from Maui, Kingdom family. Can you all welcome Sharon to the Kingdom? Everybody is chapping in into the chat box and welcoming you here. And we're each sending you so much love, Sharon, because I'm so grateful. You know, I remember this journey. I remember seeing you at Eva Clay's house and talking about this, and you were talking about writing the book and the journey, just the whole thing, you know, that has been unfolding for you. And knowing you from before the diagnosis to after, and seeing the journey and the light that has awakened in you is beyond anything that I could ever imagine. And so I'm so thankful that you're here to share with the Kingdom today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Justin. I'm so happy to be here. I I have to start this talk with just a shout out to you, Justin. You are such a gift, and I love these kingdoms. I watch them all the time, and just to have me as a guest, I feel really honored. So,
Well,
thank you,
Sharon,
love.
we're all super grateful to have you here, and the community is
Yeah.
just welcoming you and welcoming you. And so, before I
Oh,
even get in, everybody, I want to put a link to Sharon's book here in the chat box.
yeah.
So, I'm putting a link to Sharon's book right here, and so that each of you can grab it on Amazon and we can support Sharon in the publishing of this book. And you guys will literally be the first people able to buy the book. It just became available. She's not even officially launching it until September 8th. But I asked her, well, can we just get it to the Kingdom people right away? And
Yeah.
so you each will get the opportunity. I just put the link in the chat box for all of you to get Sharon's book. So before we even get into the book, Sharon,
Oh.
like I think, we can talk,
Hmm.
we're going to talk about the book itself in a moment. I want to just hear a little bit about your journey of being diagnosed with cancer and
Hmm.
how that process was for you. What happened in that moment for you?
Oh gosh. Well, chapter one of the book is entitled "The Phone Call." You can imagine what that phone call was. Um, I was completely in denial when my doctor found the lumps. I, you know, I was young. I was in my early 40s. I was a health and wellness journalist. I was a yogi, a meditator. There was no way I
Yeah,
had
you were doing
cancer,
all the
right?
things right, right? Eating well, doing
Yeah,
yoga, meditating, everything right, right?
exactly. Exactly. And I talk a lot about this right at the beginning of the book, right after the diagnosis, thinking, like, we actually are not in control in this life. And I know everyone here has a spiritual practice of some sort, and this was just such clarity that we can do everything right and things still go wrong.
Yeah.
And like holding on to the reins, right? And then having such a huge disappointment like that. um, and then of course there's the fear of death that came just so intensely, like right after diagnosis. I didn't know what stage I was. I didn't know how aggressive it was. um, and so I felt this level of anxiety that I'd never felt before, and it was the fear of death.
Yeah.
And that's what um, and it's a little bit of what I'm going to talk about today in terms of like how to manage your emotions, because essentially I didn't have any other choice. I
Yeah.
had to. I was suffering so intensely that there's a Bob Marley quote. I mean, I love Bob so much. um, you don't know how strong you are until you have no other choice.
Type that in, everybody. Type that in, everybody. You don't know how strong you are until you have no other choice. I'd never heard that one before.
Yeah, and so really, like, the miracle
In here, everybody. Let's see. Oh, you're back. You're back. You're back.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let me jump into a question for you really quick, Sharon. And for some reason,
Yeah.
getting our connection is going a little choppy, but we'll be okay. So um,
Okay.
the I want to hear just about the book because we have
Mhm.
like first of all, this moment is the one that I'm trying to get to because this is a really powerful situation. Is here you are, you get diagnosed with cancer, you get the phone call, right? You go through
Yeah.
your own journey, and then you get across to the other side, and you're able to turn these lessons into wisdom. And
Yes.
so tell because that is whether people write a book, whether they get to the other side of it or not, whether they're just sharing with their friends and family, we all are able to go through. I love what is called post-traumatic growth, or Oprah likes to call post-traumatic wisdom. And so I'm very
Yeah.
curious about like how you got to a point to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to write a book about this.
Right. Well, that happened pretty early on. So I was diagnosed, and obviously the fear of death was so intense. And um, I've been a journalist for 15 years at that point, and I thought I actually never really I would write a book. However, I realized that I need to turn my pain into purpose here because, breast cancer, 250,000 American women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year. And I thought, how many of those women have a mindfulness practice, right? And, it's secular. I'm sure everyone has some kind of, coping mechanism, but I just felt like it was my duty to, if I'm having this similar experience and I have these tools, then how can I share these tools? It was really a no-brainer as a professional writer, as a mindfulness teacher, to have this illness that affects, hundreds of thousands of women every year.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that it was pretty early on. Maybe a couple weeks after diagnosis, I just started putting my fingers to the
And
letters
writing
and
about your
typing them out.
experience. That's amazing. And do you feel like
Yeah,
just that writing process, even if it was never coming out, just helped you in your own process and experience?
absolutely. Yeah, that was very healing and cathartic. Because then you put, just putting the emotions into words helps kind of it gets out of you, and then you have some perspective. Then it helps you process it. And
Yeah.
that's actually part of what LOVEE is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because the first letter of LOVEE is L for label. So you're labeling the emotion,
yeah.
and just that alone helps you create a little space.
Okay, so talk to us about this. So talk to us a little bit about the book in general. Like what is the overarching
Okay.
picture of the book? How is it relevant to everybody? And then I want to get into the acronym itself, the LOVE-E acronym. So talk to me about the book
Sure.
first.
So the book, it's called a Teaching Memoir, meaning it's part my personal story of, getting the diagnosis, how it affects every part of my life, my love life, my, obviously, what I'm going to eat every day, and my practice, everything, where I was my roommates, my family, um, because I wanted to touch on every every element that a woman who goes through breast cancer goes through, like losing your fertility. That was huge. That was heartbreaking. um, I was dating someone at the time, and how the diagnosis affected that. I mean, it's there's so many layers to having a life-threatening illness, and how the family responded. And so I wanted women going through it to feel like that they were not alone,
Yeah.
right? And so they're reading the book and they're like, yes, that's me. I get that. Thank you for putting what I'm going through into words. And so that's what the purpose of the memoir is. And also, there's a lot of humor in this book. It sounds a little strange, but it's a lot of my personality, and I'm super upbeat and, positive. Like, I was committed to being positive. I
Yeah.
think if anything, I was more myself during that year, right? Just like, I am going to be so strong and positive during this treatment, right? It was that dedication
Yeah, I remember,
to handling this
Les
with grace.
Brown. I was listening to a podcast with Les Brown, who I love, and he's an amazing motivational speaker who's an OG
Yeah.
for people who don't know. And Les Brown was talking about that he got diagnosed with cancer, and he said,
Mm.
"I don't have time or the luxury to even think
Right.
about what could be wrong." Like he's like, the doctors will handle that. He's like, I have to every single day. I am strong. I am this. He's like, I have
Yes.
to keep my energy system totally strong. I have to be more positive than I've ever felt. I have to tell myself I feel my cells healing themselves every day in and out. And he's like,
Yes.
that is what I'm doing. And he's like, and I'm still here, after his diagnosis. And so I think that people, you know,
Mm.
forget how powerful that is. But I do want to ask you then, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more.
Yeah.
What about your grief? How did you welcome your grief, and how did you weave that in without spiritually bypassing it into just the,
Oh,
thinking positively?
well, that goes directly into the practice itself. Do you want me to talk about LOVEE at this time?
Okay, so let's go into LOVEE then. Let's go in. So this is
Yeah.
a good moment. So everybody, I'm going to put it on the screen really quick. So hold on, so you all can see it. And I want you all to type this in so you remember it. So the LOVEE method. Okay. So type LOVEE in, and then we're going to get each of the acronyms with Sharon live from Sharon's mouth right now. So let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love that you all are the first people to buy this book. It just became live on Amazon on the 17th. So
So amazing.
exciting.
All right. So
Um,
let's do it.
yeah, so let's go through it. So L stands for label.
Label. Everybody type that in. L's for label. Go ahead.
So the question was, how did I work with my grief? Right? Because I'm not just going to spiritually bypass and be like, I'm fine, everything's fine, right? I'm actually going to process, because that just kind of masks the grief, and the grief just gets kind of stored in your body, and you're not actually processing it in a healthy way, right? And it'll come out in another way, right? We all know this. So LOVEE is a container, a safe container that you can process your emotions. You want to think of LOVEE as kind of like this little container that you can insert your hard emotions. So we're going to insert the grief
Great.
into LOVEE. So label is just as it sounds. So we just label it. Grief is here. And we don't say, I feel grief. We don't identify with it. We say, grief is rising in the body. And then O is observe. So we take the seat of the observer, and we observe that grief as a sensation in our bodies. And so grief, anger is like in the jaw. Anxiety is usually in the gut, like you have a stomach ache. Grief is at the heart, right? Like heartbreak. But it could be different for everyone. Really, it's about being with whatever is here. That's what mindfulness is, right? Just being with what is.
Yeah.
V is value. So we can actually value the grief because it connects us to every other human being. Grief is a natural human emotion. You are not alone in feeling grief, right? You're actually connected. E is for embrace, and you actually embrace the grief as if it's a little child crying and so sad, right? So you become the compassionate mind within you. So the compassionate mind is like the ocean, and this energy of grief is like a drop, right? And the compassionate mind just gives that grief a big hug and embraces it and loves it up. Lovey, I say I lovey it up. That's what I say about my emotions. I lovey it up. And just that self-compassion alone really reduces that suffering, and that grief is seen and heard. And you ask that little grief, what do you need? What do you need, sweetheart? Yeah. And then you listen, and it could be something completely, not unexpected.
Yeah.
So typically, if the emotion is anger, what it needs is respect or fairness. If it's anxiety, it's like, I need safety, right? And then, so you give it what it needs. As the compassionate mind, you say, I will keep you safe. I will never leave you, sweetheart. I promise to keep you safe every single day. Yeah.
So
And
we have,
so it's as if you're consoling that energy. And just like we feel when we feel seen and heard, like our shoulders relax, our emotions are soothed, we can do that to ourselves.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
have label, observe,
Yeah.
values, embrace, and the final E. There we
Equanimity, which is our topic for
go.
today.
That's our topic. But
And
before, hold on, Sharon, really
yeah,
quick, because before you
sure.
get into it, the chat box is really leaning into something that I think was really important. Is
Yeah.
you said like the emotions, right? Like LOVEE is, and it's really interesting. I want to say really quick that I'm presencing because I feel her in the space right now, which I don't typically ever feel her. But one of my aunts who passed away, my mom will know who I'm talking about. She used to always call people Lovey, 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 Lovey. So she would always say like, "Hey, Lovey," like my aunt who passed away from cancer, and she would be saying Lovey, 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 Lovey. And so it's really interesting that you're saying Lovey. And so it's just I'm like feeling her presence here right now. And so there, but I love that you
Love
said love
that.
E is, yeah, right, is a safe container in which you can process your
Yes.
emotions. Like you put it in like an input, like a factory machine, like whoop, go in, and then
Yeah.
it like goes through the lovey process and comes out the other side. And at the end, we land at this equanimity place. And so let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about this because this is a word, honestly, Sharon, when you said, "Ooh, I think we can do the power of equanimity," I was like, oh, like, what is this going to be, right? Because it's not a word that people, I think, we use often. So, what is equanimity and why is it so important being the last acronym of LOVEE?
Equanimity has completely changed my life. Completely. And equanimity is the goal of LOVEE. And it's so simple, but the definition of equanimity is non-reactivity. And you would think the goal of a meditation would be joy, bliss, happiness. Everyone's seeking happiness, right? But what I discovered during my journey with cancer was that it wasn't the cancer that caused me to suffer. If you don't get anything from this whole talk, this is the take-home message. It wasn't the cancer that caused me to suffer. It was my reaction to having cancer that caused me to suffer. I mean, that's it. And so with equanimity practice that I'm going to teach today, we can reduce our reactivity and then we reduce our suffering.
Just let's take a breath with that really quick,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the energy of our collective here. Yeah. Everybody, I think, is feeling a lot right now with this coming up. And so,
Yeah.
all right, so when we reduce the reactivity and we come to that place of equanimity, then
Yes.
we reduce our suffering. And so, for all the things that
Yes.
are happening in our lives, whether it's
Yeah.
whatever it is, cancer or a breakup or any injury or pain, or it's the thing itself is not generally what's causing the suffering, it's our reaction to the thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, it's like let that settle because it's something that we don't work with. We think that you have a good life when your circumstances are good and then you'll be happy. But with the but we have the older you get, you realize just bad things happen in life. They just do. And up until this discovery of equanimity, I would think I'm just going to focus on the good. Yes, there's bad things in life, but I'm just going to not think about that and just feel gratitude for the good. And that's helpful too. But really, the key is that rather than gratitude, I'm accepting and feeling non reactivity around the bad. And then I discovered that joy and happiness just blossomed naturally.
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was in full equanimity with the bad.
This is a really, like, this is really important. I feel so much emotion arising in me right now. It's pretty wild, actually, that I'm just holding in my body, and I just want a presence. And so what's amazing about this, Sharon, is when people just go to gratitude, right, and just focus on just the positive, right, this is often using gratitude almost as like a weapon or a
Yeah.
tool of spiritual bypassing, which is like, let me pretend nothing bad is happening, and let me just
Right.
focus on, like, I'm grateful that I get to be alive, I'm grateful that I get to be this, I'm grateful that I'm grateful. And like, we want to do those things, but not at the expense of accepting and being present with what is,
Yes.
right? And being present with what is. And then the practices, if I'm understanding you correctly, the practice, the powerfulness of this is
Mm.
practicing our non reactivity, our equanimity to what actually is.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. I got it.
Well,
Got
you
it.
got it.
I got
And
it.
so LOV, but we also want to tend to our emotion, right? So that's why LOVEE has 5 steps. So LOVE cares for our emotion itself, the grief, the anger, the anxiety, the sadness, right? We gotta love ourselves as much as possible.
Yeah.
LOVE.
Yeah.
And And then the second E, once you feel like your emotion has soothed, been integrated and processed, we can go to the final E, where we shift from the emotion to the circumstance that we're resisting. And we bring acceptance to it. And that's what we're going to do in this practice, right?
Yeah.
Things are as they are. I accept things just as they are. Or he is who he is. I accept him just as he is. She is who she is. I accept her just as she is. Or I am as I am. I accept myself just as I am.
I'm thinking of, so I'm staying with a couple of friends here in the woods,
Yeah.
in the mountains, and it's actually, unfortunately, like totally smoky, and the air quality is like 400 here. You can't even go outside. It's so bad. It's like, because I'm up
Oh,
north near Tahoe, and but it's been
yes.
really beautiful witnessing their relationship, because they've been married for, I think, 8 or 9 years, and they've gone through several big phases, and they they went through this process that was so beautiful, and they've landed in this beautiful place of, I'm going to bring this word back to them, of equanimity, because
Yeah.
instead of, and we hear this oftentimes about spiritual partnership and relationship, and I'm bringing this up because it can relate to our relationship to all things, is
Yes.
they each, instead of expecting the other person to show up in a way that makes them happy, they just allow each other to show up exactly as they are. And I know it sounds so obvious because, like, we hear that all the time, but we really don't do that in relationship often.
Right.
We say that we think we do, but, like, one of them
Right.
was like, I'm really excited to go to the river. Can we go to the river? And the other one was like, no, I don't want to go to the river. Like, I'm not in the mood to go to the river. And like, what sometimes people will do is like, well, how come you never want to go to the river with me? Or, blah, blah, I don't want to go to the river because now I have to go alone, and you're always in a bad mood, or this or that. And like, one of them was in a really shitty mood and the other one was in a really good mood. And he was like, you're allowed to have your experience. Like, okay, babe, you go ahead and have your experience. Like, I'm going to go to the river. And when we left, I was like, gosh, it seems like you just are totally easy with accepting whatever he is. And he was like, that really is the key. Like, just accepting whatever it is, how it is,
Yes.
without trying to change it, without getting upset about it, because he's not me. Like, he gets to have his own experience. And so I'm relating this because I think people who are not going through some big diagnosis or some big issue, we can see how all of
Oh,
parts of our lives, our relationship to all things, connects into how we show up for it in a non reactive way. Yeah.
Exactly right. And I've actually worked with couples with LOVEE. And what it helps them to do is just accept their partner as they are. They leave their socks on the floor, they never do the dishes or whatever. And so there's one other piece that's so critical here. People think that if you just accept, it means you've like thrown in the towel or you surrender or you're like you have to be angry in order to take action.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not equanimity. So all equanimity is you're shifting from the amygdala, which is the site of anger, anxiety, fight or flight, to your prefrontal cortex, which is the human brain, right? So it's the site of wisdom, compassion, reasoning. So you can, once you're upset about something, you do LOVEE, you've cultivated equanimity, you've shifted from the amygdala to your prefrontal cortex. And then you have that hard conversation with your partner, right? From a place of compassion, from a place of reasoning. You take wise action rather than action fueled by your anger or your anxiety or your sadness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. So you're still in action. You're
And you can have
still,
the
but you're actually
capacity.
more productive.
And yeah, you have, that's what I was going to say. And you have the capacity to take a better action because you're taking
Yes.
action to what is in response to what is versus whatever version of what is you're creating in your head, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And yeah, that also makes me think about LOVEE is not about the story. LOVEE is just about the emotion itself. So it really helps you understand and accept yourself, and befriend your emotions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're instead of pushing away grief, anger is actually a great example. People like say, "Oh, I'm a bad person for being angry," right? But anger in and of itself is a very natural human emotion. Um, and it serves a lot of purposes. It lets you know where your boundaries are, right? But it's like what we do with the anger that can be problematic. And so
This
that's why LOVEE is so helpful to process it, come out the other side more equanimous, and then you can take action, go to that activism meeting or whatever it is, but from a place of wisdom and compassion.
this is so beautiful. I would love
Thank
to
you.
give you the stage to guide us through an equanimity practice. We have,
Mm.
you know, maybe 10 minutes for that or less. And so
Okay.
I don't want you to feel rushed, but I also don't want it to go too long. and
Yeah.
but is there anything that you feel would be important to share with people before we dive into the practice?
I would like this practice to be very useful right in this moment for everyone. So think about something in your life that's challenging for you, whether it's a diagnosis, whether it's a person, a family member, someone you work with, etc. Or maybe it's something within yourself that you're struggling with. Um, I also help women who are struggling with weight loss to accept their bodies exactly as they are. So, just anything in your life that you're resisting, you're wishing was different. It's not good or bad. We're going to use that one circumstance to put into the LOVEE machine. So, let's go ahead and start the practice. Please bring both feet down to the floor. I'm sitting up tall. Take an inhale. And on your exhale, allow the muscles of your face to relax. Allow your shoulders to relax. Let's bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your abdomen. Close your eyes. And let's take 3 deep breaths together as a community. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. The hands. And closing the lips and just breathing naturally in and out through the nose. I'd like you to bring your focus to the sensation of your breath at your abdomen. As you inhale, the abdomen expands. As you exhale, the abdomen contracts. Anchoring in your consciousness at the sensation of the breath at the abdomen. Equanimity is the foundation, the clean slate, for which happiness and joy and compassion arise. So we're cultivating equanimity just below the belly button at the dantian area. So you can bring both hands just below your belly button. Feel your breath. Inhale and exhale at this area. Deep inner strength. And now just briefly identifying this circumstance that you're having a challenge with. Not going into the story, but just identify it. And then repeat the mantra, things are as they are. May I accept things just as they are. If it's a person you're having trouble with, you can say, he is who he is. May I accept him just as he is. Or she is who she is. May I accept her just as she is. If it's something about yourself you're struggling with or resisting, I am who I am. May I accept myself just as I am. Remembering that acceptance is not condoning. You're not saying it's right or wrong. Just dropping into a deep level of acceptance to what is. Things are as they are. May I accept things just as they are. Choose the mantra that is appropriate for your circumstance. Continue to repeat that mantra in your mind over and over again, cultivating equanimity in the lower belly, foundation of strength. Continuing to breathe naturally. Things are as they are. May I accept things just as they are. Repeat the mantra for another 30 seconds. I invite you to bring one hand to your heart and one hand to the abdomen. And let's take 3 deep breaths together to close the meditation. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Gently releasing the hands. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
And that was wonderful.
How do you feel, Justin?
Really good. You hold such a strong field. Yeah, I feel great. And that was really soothing. Not in like a soothing, like relaxing, rocking a baby kind of a way, but just like soothing to the energy field, that was coming up and
I just
clarifying.
want to say
Yeah.
that feeling is equanimity. Yes. Yes. Right? So
Yeah.
it's not joy, it's not bliss. It's exactly what you just said. This kind of subtle strength. Right? It's the foundation for everything, all the other happiness and joy to arise.
How did that feel for all of you? People are typing in so peaceful hearts. And thank you, Jen. Jen said, let's remember our non-binary friends. They are who they are.
Yes,
May we accept
thank
them
you.
just as they
Yes.
are. Thank you, Jen, for that. And
Yes.
yeah, this is beautiful. People are feeling the equanimity. Jerry
Oh.
says, it seems all more flexible and fluid to me. And so this is beautiful. This is beautiful. So, I want to close this session with you. First of all, before I close anything, I want to make sure I'm putting a link in the chat box to your book again for everybody to grab. We are truly the first people with the opportunity to get Sharon's book. And so this is such a gift. And Mary Teresa says, this brought her balance. Sabine said, very gentle and like waves is how I feel. Yeah, and we have a lot of hearts. Nadine said, like coming home. Susan said, relaxing. Adrian says, beautiful. So this is amazing. I always love to leave everybody with some kind of an action, some real takeaway. And I think the practice that you gave us was a real takeaway that we can use. But is there anything else that you could tell people that they can use in any moment, that they need?
Absolutely. So, one thing I do whenever I resist something, like I wish something was different, which is all the time, right? I remind myself, oh, I'm creating suffering right now for myself. And I have a tool so that I don't suffer today.
Yeah.
I remind myself. And I can just informally say, they are who they are. I accept them just as they are. Just kind of throughout the day. Things are as they are. I accept it just as it is.
This is beautiful.
And then I'm no longer suffering, right? I don't have control whether it's going to rain or not. But I do have a control whether I'm going to suffer because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is
So empowering.
also, yeah, it's very empowering, and it's also, I love that you gave a difference between accepting and condoning, right? Which you said,
Yes.
which is sometimes things are what they are, and it doesn't mean what they are is good or okay or allowed, or people shouldn't take responsibility, or that you're allowed, like there should be abuse or this or that. But it's saying first step in the equanimity and getting yourself clear so you can take any clear action is coming to that place of things are as they are. I accept them as they are. And now, what is my next best move? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're making that decision from your human brain, your wisdom brain, and
Yeah.
not from your amygdala. Yeah.
This is beautiful.
I don't know about you, but I want to be working and communicating and having connections and relationships from my human brain, right? And not from my
not the fight or flight
antiquated
brain.
amygdala.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm putting into the chat box some links for you to Sharon's website for a free morning meditation that she has available. And also her Instagram and Facebook account is there for you as well. And but most importantly, and I'll put it one more time, make sure you all get Sharon's book. You can see this beautiful, incredible woman and how much she's been through and how much she's here to give back to all of us. And so may each of us give back by buying Sharon's book as a gift to ourselves, maybe a gift to someone in your life, and also just a gift to Sharon. Writing a book is such a big undertaking, and so I always love to just support people so much when they're doing that work. And so, Sharon, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Kingdom today. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close out?
Oh, you know, I just hope that this LOVEE method can serve to bring some peace to the world. We really need it right now. I really do.
It will. It will. Thank you, Sharon, for your great work in the world. And will you stay here with us as we close out to our closing prayer? Beautiful. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Kingdom family, and I'm going to bring Sharon back for our prayer, but before we go to our prayer, I want to have everybody take a moment to think of your golden nugget from today's session. We learned a lot today. There was a lot of emotions present today. And so take a moment right now and place your hands over your heart, one over the other. Take a full deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I invite you now to think of, if there was one thing that you could remember from today's session, just one thing, what would that one thing be? If you could remember one key takeaway to take into your life from anything Sharon shared or anything you learned in your own psyche or in the chat box or that I shared. And just think of that one thing in your mind a few times. And the commitment that we make here at the Kingdom every week is that we will share this one golden nugget with someone in our lives. So don't forget, with someone, whether it's you post it on social media and you tag Sharon, or you post it online somewhere else, or you share it with your friend or a family member, you pick up the phone and call, or you send a text message to somebody. And this isn't about trying to teach anyone anything. It's just about sharing what you know. And in this way, each of us become a ripple out into the world. And so when you're ready, open your eyes and everybody type in your golden nuggets into the chat box, and we'll see all the golden nuggets coming in. My golden nugget today is one that I've known for many years, but somehow the way Sharon sent it today landed very differently for me, which was just about it's the reaction to the situation that causes the suffering, not often the situation itself. And so that's a massive, massive takeaway for us to remember with anything that goes on in our lives. And also the I am as I am. I accept myself as I am. It's just so beautiful. So many of your golden nuggets is unconditional acceptance of what is. Relax. You don't know how strong you are until you have no other choice. The LOVEE method, label, observe, value, embrace, equanimity. To accept with equanimity is not to condone. The goal is non-reactivity, equanimity. Accept what is. You are your own experience. You can have your own experience. Accepting isn't condoning, it's just reducing suffering. Accept what is. Gratitude, the meaning of LOVEE. Isn't that great, Mom? Turn my pain into purpose. And there's so many more. They're just rolling through. Sharon. So thank you for everything that you're sharing. They're just more and more. I can keep reading them. Embrace with compassion. I am as I am. They are who they are. I love myself unconditionally. We can control the reaction after processing the emotion, then move forward with equanimity. accepting what is to love. LOVEE. Equanimity is my new mantra, Jen says. This is beautiful. And so, Kingdom family, there we are with our golden nugget. And now I'm going to welcome Sharon back onto the screen, and we will close out now with our, oh, you got tears there. So we will, tell me, Sharon, what are those tears? What do those tears say if they could speak to you? Hold on a second, you're muted. Let me unmute you here. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay.
I mean, Justin knows the experience of writing a book, and oh gosh, it's just this experience that I'm having now of wisdom that I learned in such a deep, deep, profound, and intense and scary way that I can now share it with you, and it can help someone else's life. It's a profound feeling. Thank you. So much gratitude.
We're so grateful for you, Sharon. We're so grateful for you. Thank you. And Sharon will stay here with us as Kingdom family as we close out with our closing blessing. So, hands over the heart. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing our community together from all over the world. Thank you for Sharon and keeping her alive and well to share this gift with all of us in the world, and for her diving into an even greater purpose. Thank you for LOVEE, the method and the deeper meaning behind and underneath that. And thank you for teaching us all the power of equanimity, because I really do believe that power, that equanimity is really our most God-like state of knowing that the divine is within all, not just in the good, not in the bad, in all of it, in a non-reactive way, right there in the center, soothing us toward peace. And thank you, Auntie Pammy. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing our community together. We're so grateful to have this time. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Satnam, Awen, Shalom, Om. Thank you. All right, Kingdom family. I love you all so much. Sharon, thank you so much. What a gift to have you here. And this is Justin Michael Williams signing out. And I will see you right here in this very special place that we've created together next week. Bye for now, everybody. I love you.